Welcome to this explainer. Look, we all know a modern reality for every professional and business owner today. Your digital identity completely dictates your real-world credibility. We live in an ecosystem where partnerships and trust are evaluated in a fraction of a second via a quick search engine query. So you have to ask yourself, are your search results fragmented or are they authoritative? Today, we're breaking down the data-driven blueprint for systematically managing your search visibility, covering both immediate reputation recovery and long-term protection.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our agenda to map out this ecosystem. 1. The digital reputation risk. 2. Search engine trust signals. 3. Suppression versus content enhancement. 4. Optimizing your digital footprint. 5. Measuring reputation strategy effectiveness. And 6. Long-term reputation protection. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The digital reputation risk.
Imagine relying on a purely reactive reputation strategy. It's honestly a nightmare. At minute 1, a negative result pops up. By hour 24, the reputational damage is already done. It spreads like wildfire. Week 1 is entirely eaten up by investigations, and it usually takes a full month just to mount a coordinated response. And because search algorithms tend to cling to controversial content, it can literally take a full year to recover. Contrast that agonizingly slow timeline with proactive management, which shields your digital entity before a crisis ever even hits the boardroom. Moving on to Section 2, Search Engine Trust Signals.
Search algorithms aren't just reading static text anymore. They're building incredibly complex mathematical connections. In Step 1, the crawler gathers signals. We're talking mentions, backlinks, reviews, and overall engagement. All of these data points feed directly into Step 2, entity understanding. You can kind of think of this as your definitive credibility score. The algorithm compares multiple sources to establish confidence in your identity. Finally, we arrive at Step 3, SERP positioning. This is what actually determines where and how you rank on the search engine results page.
Section 3. Suppression versus content enhancement.
So here's a critical question for you. Which approach actually performs better, content removal or reputation building? I ask this because it challenges a very common executive misconception. A lot of professionals just assume that reputation management is simply calling up a lawyer and demanding bad links be deleted. But the reality of search architecture is way more nuanced than that.
Let's look at content removal first. It is a very direct tool. It eliminates harmful material via legal frameworks or platform policies. And hey, it's highly effective for clear violations. But its limitation is massive. If the content is legally permissible, you simply can't remove it. It's totally unscalable. Reputation building, conversely, is the systematic creation of trustworthy digital assets. While removal is like a surgical strike, reputation building offers broad, sustainable resilience across the entire ecosystem.
Now, a massive pillar of that reputation building is content enhancement. This is the process of actively strengthening your positive signals through strategic publishing to increase your semantic authority, which is basically a fancy way of saying getting search engines to recognize you as the definitive, undeniable expert in your field. By building professional biographies and publishing thought leadership, search engines actually use those verified assets to reinforce your trust signals.
Now, what's really interesting here is how suppression and enhancement actually work in tandem, even though they serve different purposes. Content suppression reduces the visibility of negative results by actively competing against them. It's a fast intervention, a rapid shield. Content enhancement, however, builds lasting authority and permanent positive assets. Essentially, suppression buys you time, while enhancement builds your permanent digital fortress.
Which brings us to Section 4, optimizing your digital footprint.
Look, search engines absolutely hate confusion. An inconsistent footprint, think different name variations, outdated corporate biographies, or conflicting credentials floating around, causes ambiguity. And when a search engine is confused, your entity credibility takes a nosedive. On the flip side, consistent identities with connected, authoritative profiles, where your website, industry directories, and verified social channels all link together seamlessly, those absolutely dominate branded search queries. By taking control of your assets, your risk exposure drastically decreases because you aren't reliant on third-party platforms.
Section 5. Measuring reputation strategy effectiveness.
Take a look at the sentiment distribution right here. Effective management absolutely requires visualizing your SERP composition. You need to understand exactly what percentage of your search real estate is positive, neutral, or negative. By continuously tracking this breakdown, you can actually identify microscopic shifts in public perception long before your overall visibility starts to drop.
To truly run a data-driven strategy, you've got to rigorously evaluate specific metrics. You need to measure your SERP composition and analyze that sentiment distribution we just talked about. You have to continuously monitor entity credibility through mentions, evaluate your search ranking influence, and track your asset ownership. Because search algorithms are constantly evolving, effective protection is pretty much impossible without this objective measurement framework in place.
And our final section, Section 6, long-term reputation protection.
We really have to differentiate our timelines here. Short-term tactics, like rapid suppression, removals, and corrective content, they are absolutely necessary for addressing urgent visibility concerns. But they often only result in temporary ranking changes. They do not guarantee stability. A true long-term strategy focuses on authority building, continuous profile optimization, and expanding a protective digital infrastructure. Sustainable protection emerges only when your positive authority permanently exceeds any negative influence.
So this brings everything into one balanced framework, integrating recovery, content enhancement, removal where appropriate, footprint optimization, and continuous monitoring. When you stack all of these together, it creates a seriously formidable shield. Now, for professionals needing to implement this architecture, this explainer was actually sourced from the experts at clearmyname.org, where you can explore specialized reputation management tailored for high-stakes environments.
I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Search engines are updating their algorithms daily, analyzing trust and entity credibility with more and more complexity. So, will your digital identity withstand tomorrow's search algorithm? The time to optimize your professional credibility isn't after a crisis hits. It's right now. Recover your reputation. Protect your digital identity. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and here's to taking control of your digital footprint.